that 90-minute nap becomes absolute gold when you're a busy parent. You know what I mean?
When you get two though, and they're not on the same schedule.
Yeah. Well, mine getting those weekend naps doesn't really happen anymore. So, but we know that the parents that are listening know the value of that moment where you're running around, you got to do the dishes and the laundry, hit a workout in the garage.
Oh yeah.
I love that. Well, I think one thing I want to pull out of this that has been a common theme we talked about before, but it's this balance of pursuing your own passions, and still being your own individual. And I think a lot of us, when we have kids, it's like, all right, it's not about you anymore, which I think is for the most part, true. But at the same time, you still can have your own identity. And I also think it's important that we emphasize that, because I see some parents that kind of just like throw in the towel on anything that is like personal to them. And, I would say particularly, more on the lady side too, which it's a testament to them being such dedicated mothers, but they lose all of their own identities and their own passions. And I think it's one of those things you got to still fill your own cup, so you can still be, the best version of yourself for your kids. Right. And it's incredible to see how you've balanced that and how you became, you were an elite athlete, but I mean, you became the best of the best while balancing all that. I love that treadmill story of that's so perfect for, you adapted to the environment you were in and you were still a present mother, but you still made it happen within the parameters that you had. And I think for anyone listening that feels like they've lost, their identity or any of their own personal passions, like I think part of that is a choice. And I would challenge you to say, all right, did you really lose them, or did you kind of concede those, with little resistance? And I think your story is just incredible. It's just, very humbling to hear that. So thank you for sharing that.
I think a lot of moms and just single parents as a whole, they are met with a lot of guilt. And I actually spoke about this in a podcast a few weeks ago. I challenge you in that guilt to go search out where it came from. Because most often we are our worst critics. Yeah. We are the ones who actually put the ideas and those thoughts in our own head. And it could be triggered by someone, it could be triggered by social media, but where actually does it come from? What are the roots of that guilt? And I find that it can start in the home in which you're raised. So if you had a mom that raised you in a certain way, you think this is exactly how I need to raise my kids too. My mom never worked out. She never ever went out with her girlfriends. Like she was home full time. She was home. She was there whenever we needed her. She waited in the car for an hour and a half at our soccer practice. I mean, there are kids who grew up with mothers like that, and they feel like that is the role of the mother. But really, what is the role of the mother? So seek out where the guilt comes from, what the role of the mother is. But I also have to, and I had to do this a lot when the kids were toddlers and preschool. I realized that being a mother, being a parent, just as a whole, whether you're a father or mother, you have been given this incredible opportunity to influence, inspire, and love a human that is going to go out into the world. And what is it that they're going to do? What is it as a parent you hope that your child will do? Well, I know a lot of parents say, I just want my kid to be happy. I want them to do what they're passionate about. I want them to do what they love. And it's so interesting because I often then say, are you doing that? Are you doing what you love? Are you happy? It's always the forward facing. Well, I'm going to sacrifice everything that I am so that someone else can be happy. And I think as a parent, we learn very quickly how selfish we are, right? I mean, being a parent is so humbling. It's when you have that little baby, you realize like, oh my gosh, I think about myself so much. And now I have to think about this human. It's a really hard transition. But what if we were able to show our kids that life isn't about being totally perfect and everything going well all the time? And there's also a balance in there. We care for others. We should love one another. We should put others before ourselves, but also we should love the life that we've been given. We should also continue to pursue the things that we love. And the reason why we're here, like we have purpose on this earth, and it doesn't stop when you become a parent. Being a parent is an incredible gift, but we get to raise the kids and show them what it looks like to keep working hard every single day. And so, showing up for yourself for that workout, it isn't just about you and fitting into your pair of jeans. And I think sometimes women think that if I go train, it's all about me and losing weight and looking. No, it's not. Like you're healthier and stronger and fitter, and you are more enduring for your kids. Like you're going to be able to show up a lot better for them, but you're also literally showing them how important moving your body is. And that is the best way to live a life for that total well-being. And so when you drop your kids off at soccer practice for them to train, and then you decide just to sit in the car for an hour and a half, what is the message that you're giving them? Because you could get out and go on the same field and run around that field with them. You could walk around the field while they train. And if they ask you, Mom, why do you do laps around my soccer fields? Because you're getting your training in, I'm getting my training in, and we both feel better after we get our training in, don't we? Or I'm training for this 10K, and so I know I have to get my miles in, and you need to get your training in, and so I'm going to run around the soccer field and train for my 10K while you're training for that soccer tournament this Saturday. I mean, how cool to do it as a team, to help the kids understand what it looks like to support one another's dreams. And that is really a more rounded, more balanced way to teach children. We're not sacrificing who we are, but we're showing them this is what it looks like to continue to work hard and to go after goals. And I want you to do that too.
Yeah, there can be, and it's tricky. And I'll just relate it to myself because I've gone through it in these first 2 years. There can be a bit of like self-loathing where like so much has changed in your life that like you kind of submit to like, well, this is just the way it is now. And then you do that for, at least myself, you do that for a couple weeks and it's like, oh, I feel disgusting when I like embody that. And it's exactly what you said. Like, it's like gilded in the sense that like that thought seems good on the surface that like, oh, I'm just sacrificing for my children. But it actually underneath it, if you peel back the layers, and I'll just speak of myself, like there is some like self-loathing and just rationalization happening that like, it's more because your reality that you used to know got scrambled. And instead of getting stronger and adjusting to that, you kind of feel you kind of feel chaotic and you just submit to it. And I think that's actually part, like that submission in like any chaotic period, you're going to feel that for a while, but then hopefully you grow stronger and move out of it. But like you do see some people, and once again, I'll just relate to myself. I've been there where like you get stuck. And if you stay stuck in that thing and continue to rationalize that you're doing it for other people, it can end up in a tricky spot. But it is tough. I mean, now we're getting into the dealings of the mind, which is a whole nother, like to try to unpack that for people is a crazy thing, but go ahead.
Yeah. I think one more thing to add to it is not only do people concede their own identity, but also, and this doesn't apply to me, but it does to you, like in their marriage, people kind of concede like the emphasis on their marriage and it's all about the kids. And right. And before you know it, maybe both people have kind of let themselves go and there's no romance anymore. Yeah. And you know what I mean? And I've seen some good content online saying like, hey, by focusing on your marriage, you're actually, you're going to help your kids out. Don't do the opposite. Now, of course, still take care for your kids, but man, I see that way too much where it's like, there's 3 kids running around and, they look nothing like they used to as parents. And there's just, the spark is gone because it's just chaos. And it's like, all right, well, you've submitted to that, right? I know it's hard, but if you carved out a date night once a week and alone time and that vacation that you two go on once a year, whatever that is. So I think, not only do you need to worry about your own, your own passions, but if you are someone married, you need to make sure that you're still focusing on them and it's not all just, it's just all about the kids.